Hey everyone, Jake here from Made for the Range. Welcome back to the Made for the Range YouTube channel, and we are in our second month of small batch releases here with Sean Toulon, who is sitting in the offices in Vista right now. This is small batch Palo Alto, correct? I've got mine here in the box. I haven't taken it out yet because I wanted to organically do that with you here. So you have a sample there as well. Real quick, give us just another brief recap of the small batch project as a whole, just for people that don't know about it or haven't seen the other videos. And then we can dive right into the story behind Palo Alto, and I'll get mine out and ask you a few questions.
Yeah, great. It's a really, by the way, good morning to you. It's a really cool way, I think, for us to sort of exercise our creativity, this whole small batch platform. So we make these putters using really interesting, new, different materials, different finishes. We get to explore different designs, different mill patterns, different graphic treatments, finishes, all kinds of different things, right? So sort of the world is your oyster as you would look at designing something here. What's also cool about it, Jake, is we make very few of them, hence the name small batch.
Yeah.
So we typically make about 75 of them worldwide. Half or so get sold in the United States, and the other half or so get sold outside the U.S. But they're super rare. We think, every one of them, when we get the first prototypes back, and then we work and tweak and change and get the finished product. I always say to the team, this is the most beautiful putter I've ever seen. But at some point, let's hope that never ends. But next one, Palo Alto, I would say it's the most beautiful putter I think I've ever seen. So anyways, it's just a really cool way for us to, keep our design shops sharp, hopefully make them even sharper, and just bring things out to the golfer that will really resonate in a new and a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the small batch project. I think that it's just a fun thing for the family to get to like really exercise the creativity. Some of the stuff that's come out of small batch has been like the stories behind some of them, I think, have been even better than the putters themselves, which is cool. Like, people don't understand the history and the research and like the story development that goes into why each one of these is designed, which leads us into Palo Alto. So Preston was talking to me about the story last night, and I felt like a bad golf nerd for not knowing who the guy was that the putter was named after and like the story there. So I guess let's start off with that. So the putter, I'll start to take mine out of the box while you talk. But
right.
So the putter is based off of a Rossie design, and I didn't know until last night that the Rossie design is named after a person. So walk us through who that is, and then kind of what his history with the shape and with golf actually is.
Yeah, so I would say anybody like 50 years old and older would know the name Bob Rosburg well, and probably most as a golf broadcaster for ABC. Rossie was really sort of one of the first roving reporters that would follow a group of golfers along during a tour event and commentate on situations that the players would get into. Rossie was just a wonderful player, 6-time winner on the PGA Tour, including the 1959 PGA Championship at Minneapolis Golf Club. Born and raised in San Francisco, went to school at Standford, hence the name Palo Alto.
Palo Alto, okay.
Was a two sport star, both baseball and golf. Inducted into the Standford Sports Hall of Fame, which is pretty incredible. But I think even more important than all of that, just a magnificent guy. A wonderful competitor, but friendly to all. He was an innovator, and as a professional growing up in the 40s and 50s, you didn't really have the access to equipment for sure like you did now. And so a lot of the players sort of had to kind of do their own thing. And Rossie was loved equipment and loved tinkering and came up with a bunch of different ideas that later became design projects with companies like McGregor, Top Flight, a lot of different golf clubs, manufacturers that he helped design clubs for. So, but he was really passionate about putters and was one of the fathers of the sort of the modern mallet. And he was a really a good putter, but he chose to putt with mallets, probably more so than almost anybody at the time. Stockton would have been a mallet guy, and Billy Casper would have been primarily a mallet guy as well. But Rossie was really the one that I would say kind of gave birth to sort of the modern mallet that later became the Rossie at Odyssey.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. There was also, I do want to point out the specific story that he beat Ty Cobb in his club championship or something like that.
At age 12. So Ty Cobb, this is at Olympic Club, right? So
Okay.
that's where Rossie played as a young kid, and he beat Ty Cobb 7-6. And Ty Cobb was a wonderful player. And as the story goes, the members teased Ty Cobb relentlessly about losing to a 12-year-old, to the point that Ty Cobb got so sick and tired of it that he resigned from the club and went and played somewhere else. So
Oh, holy
anyway,
cow.
but he did say Rosburg, because Ty Cobb was also known as being sort of an ornery, highly competitive, obviously baseball player, but golfer as well. But
Yeah, sure.
Rosburg said Ty Cobb couldn't have been more gentlemanly during the whole match. So
Dang.
yeah, Rossi put the end to his reign at Olympic Club.
Wow. Okay, so first things I'm noticing here is I love the text that's been chosen. So I always look at the cavities first.
Yeah,
I think that text font, this is not one you guys have used before.
no, it's brand
It
new.
looks new. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Palo Alto matches that on the bottom. The trees on the bottom are significant for the area.
Correct. California redwoods, right?
Okay.
So obviously the tree that's used in the Stanford University logo, but there's 4 of them, and it's really cool. I think the way we did those, Jake, those are really deep laser engraved um, into this material that we're using on the sole, which is 7075 aircraft quality aluminum, a really strong aluminum. Just a magnificent material, but it to do the really deep laser engraving, we felt like we needed to move away from 6061 aluminum into this
Okay.
material. So we do that, and then we hard anodize after that, and that gives that really cool kind of treatment to the trees. And I couldn't be more tickled with the way it turned out.
Yeah, it's great because there's a little bit of a texture to it too. Like it's not a flat, it's not like an etching. Like there's a little bit of an actual texture when you run your fingers over it.
Right.
That like it's not sharp, but you can definitely tell that it's different where the trees are basically, as if you're
Yeah.
kind of running over foliage basically. And then there's a BR 1959. I'm assuming that's Bob Rosburg. What is the 1959?
That's the year that he won the PGA championship.
Oh, perfect.
So just a really
So
cool little tip of that cap to Rosberg.
yeah, and you guys do a lot of that with small batch stuff. Like there's a lot of little nods to championship golf winners and like championship golf performance. I think that's one of the coolest things that like sneaks its way into each small batch is there's always some sort of significant, it feels like, to some sort of championship golf, which is obviously when you're talking about playing golf at the highest level and you're talking about playing a putter from the highest level
Yeah.
available, I love that little bit of a connection there. So there's a material story here too, right? Because like you already mentioned that you switched to 7075. Why the sole plate? Not a lot of the small batches are made with a sole plate. I know there's been a couple, but it's not a small batch regular thing to have a plate versus a fully milled head. So why go to a sole plate on this specific shape?
Because it's a mallet for one, right? And so the mallet heads are typically larger. This is actually quite compact. even versus the original Rossie. So when we are looking at these designs, we use them as a starting point and an inspiration. But we get to take materials now that are current today, which is very very different than when this was designed, in the early '90s. So using um, 904L, which is this just incredible stainless steel that we love for look, we love for sound, we love for feel, we love the way it machines. You have to really treat it differently in the machining process. You have to go really, really slow with specific tools to make it really come to life the way we want to. But it's also much denser, right? So even though this is a mallet and a compact one, we still are looking to save weight. So this head weighs about 360 grams.
Okay.
Um, so that sole plate only weighs about 18 or 20 grams, something in that range. So that allows us to make the head a certain size and to push the weight to the toe and the heel and actually make this product perform like it should in 2024, right? So
Yeah.
it's a really forgiving mallet, given its size. The feel, Jake, I can't wait for you to go out and hit some putts with it. The feel is spectacular. It's just so, it's just pure. It's just really, really beautiful. And it look, sound, feel, all of it, performance, I think, is just of the highest ilk.
Yeah, with the milling on top is super super cool. Like the way that it kind of frames the edges around, but then the straight milling coming back from the cavity.
Yeah.
This looks so good, especially when I'm holding it because I have a light here and then there's a very bright one behind me. So when you catch it in the light the right way, as if you're outside with the sun, it's the way it reflects off of that milling is absolutely beautiful. And
Very
then
cool.
a Rossi shape is also typically um, a very friendly shape for somebody who's traditionally a blade user because with the shape just generally puts a little bit more CG towards the face. Do you think that's indicative of like just the time at which it was designed? Because that was kind of the thought then, right? Was pushing that CG towards the face and getting a little bit more feel on the face. And he wasn't necessarily thinking about the size and MOI and all that stuff at the time that shape originally was sort of designed.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't really have a great answer for you on that one. So I don't know what Rosberg was thinking, um, but he looked at the world differently. So he was a true innovator, which is why we also felt like the whole Palo Alto, Stanford, Silicon Valley kind of feel made so much
Yeah.
sense because of it's really the land of innovation in America, at least. Um, we liked it for those reasons that we could now, with our construction, get the CG a little bit closer to the face. And what's really cool is I think Rosberg over time now, you look at what's happened at the game's highest levels, mallets have exploded in usage on tour. Some of
Yeah.
that is because the CGs now are closer to the face and they begin to rotate a little bit more like a blade. They can tend to be more forgiving than blades, not always, but can be. But I think
Yeah.
what's most important is because there's more mass behind the ball, they're for many golfers, they're much easier to align.
Hmm.
And this one we've done with just a single uh, simple sight dot or sight line on the top line,
Yeah.
which really helps with centerness of contact. And I think it just keeps the overall shape of the product very undisturbed. Um, but I think overall, it's a nod to the innovation that Rosberg really brought to golf, and the fact that now, along with this new really short little neck on there,
Yeah.
which
That's where I
was
was going. Yeah.
which was really sort of John Rahm inspired,
Hmm.
to give this a little bit more toe hang. So it's got about 45 degrees of toe hang, which is about the same as a traditional kind of plumber's neck. A Madison, a San Diego, a Santa Monica, an Austin kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is going to have very, very familiar kind of toe flow for most golfers. with a little bit more mass behind the ball, sound, feel, roll, ball speed, robustness on mishits, all the good stuff that you would want. And I think just a magnificent package. And I think what you said, sorry, Jake, about the milling, what we try to do with any of these small batch products is it's sort of like the more you look, the more you find, the more you see.
Yeah.
Which I think you really get that feel from the milling on the back flange.
Yeah, I actually just got distracted by the milling on the face too. This is a pattern that I don't know if I've seen it in person before, but I also don't think we've seen this in a small batch in a little bit of time too. Can you talk
Yeah.
about that face milling pattern really quick, just because it
Yeah, so
is
that was
different?
really inspired by the suspension cables on the Brooklyn Bridge, and you would have first seen this in a Carbonetti Brooklyn putter.
Ah,
And we've done it once in a blade on Vista, and now here, just a little bit of a nod to the Golden Gate Bridge, but we really love the look, sound, and feel that we call it spider web, but
okay.
that sort of mill pattern gives, and it's just a beautiful artisanal look
Yeah,
that gives us the sound and feel we're after.
absolutely. All right, and then every one of these also comes with a stepless black chrome shaft. We've got a Toulon Connect collection midnight blue.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So we're
dark
calling it
blue.
midnight blue, which gives a really I don't know if people can see it in here. I'll have insert shots of this so people can see the color, but the deep like midnight blue that this has on it, like the nice like midnight blue sheen that this has on it is absolutely beautiful. Matches that grip up, of course. And then everybody saw me take it out of the Toulon small batch box, and then you also get a certificate of authenticity with a matching shaft band on your COA signed by Sean, which is really cool. So the whole small batch project obviously is, it's a premium experience from ordering to delivery to gaming. I think one of the coolest things that I've seen with the small batch project as a whole is a lot of people that buy these use them. This is
Yeah.
it's not like a shelf stable thing. It's a pure piece of art that is still more than capable of being somebody's gamer. And I've seen small batches get some real heavy use out of them to become, the tattered down and club chatter cracked clubs that we all know and love, but just with
Yeah.
a little bit more beauty, including guys on the PGA Tour, which is really cool. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah. Any last thoughts on Palo Alto before we close up?
Well, we're just tickled with, to your point earlier about how the whole story came together in the creation of the product, and Rosburg was a magnificent player who doesn't get as much credit as he should as a golfer, and
Yeah.
especially as an equipment innovator. So we thought it would be really cool to shine some light on his story and make sure golfers understand what a great human being this guy was.
Yeah, absolutely. It came out beautifully. It gave me a little bit of history lesson, which is cool. I can't wait to share it with everybody else. And if you're seeing this, this has launched already. So head over to toulongolf.com. You can pick up one for yourself. Again, like Sean said, there's 75 or less of these available. That's internationally. So make sure that if you're someone in the US that wants one, you got to jump on it pretty quick here. But thanks, Sean, for sitting down with us
Yeah,
again for month 2. Excited to continue forward and keep seeing what you guys got to offer.
awesome. Thanks. Enjoy the putter, Jake.
Thank you.
All right, bud.